Productions.
Guess you guys aren't ready for that yet. But your kids are gonna love it.
Things are going to start happening to me now.
I think Tyler is amazing.
And I'm a fan of this show. I've watched several episodes.
Thank you, Tyler. Thank you, Tyler. You stink, Tyler.
Never promise crazy a baby.
Oh, I like that. That's a cool idea.
Are either of you homosexuals?
I go both ways. What do you think?
You mean like flaming or?
No, we're not homosexual, but we are willing to learn.
But I do wonder, for others, in other cases, whether libertarianism today is just an excuse for many on the right to act selfishly.
Look at me. And then some fat asses in Washington started having opinions. The Olympic Committee started having opinions. You bitch, I know you. You started writing your opinions.
And it just makes me wonder, you're dead, bitch. You know, why are you doing this to this poor guy?
I don't care. I'm a libertarian. What I'm getting is,
did you vote for Joe Jorgensen or Trump?
Who?
Joe Jorgensen. That was the perfect answer. Thank you. That was...
Welcome, Tyler. We're going to do a special Monday episode, Columbus Day, or as the kids say, Indigenous Peoples Day. Welcome, everybody. Tyler, LPR. Hope everything's coming through just fine. Also had a... let me see if I even get this chat working here, because I think I dumped it, and now I need to restart it. Let's see, standard. This is... someday I'm going to have to figure out a better... Okay, there it is. It says it's already added. Okay. Well, there you go. We'll just have to watch and see if someone comments. I don't know if we'll put it on the screen. But what I thought I would talk to today, and we'll probably have to get people in here on the replay, because you're not expecting... yeah, I'm wearing my Dave Smith attire today, which is just a hoodie. You're going to probably have to watch this on the replay. Most of you aren't catching this live because I didn't let you know about it. But here's the, there you go, leveraging failure. I wanted to talk about the crypto market. Not so much crypto. And look, you people are coming here. If you think I'm a crypto pro, I'm not. I invest in it. But I did years and years of day trading and worked for a big firm in the trading department. Did conflict, basically trade resolutions, issues between the market makers, the brokerage firm, trying to settle up trades and stuff. And so people would call in with complaints. I did compliance stuff, and also for, I guess it was in preparation for trade disputes that you might have, you know, because you have to take it to arbitration. So what would we do? Someone would call in and they would complain about, hey, a trade didn't execute or whatever. So you go take a look at it. Or maybe the margins department had liquidated it, whatever it is. And you would have to, so you had to know, besides doing everything to get your Series 7, 63, 4, 24, whatever else we would do, you had to obviously know the issues with the market, and you know, the basic stuff that was coming along at the time I was doing this, which was up till about 2006, but I've been still trading since then, were cash accounts, and because day trading started to really become a thing. So margin, My point is, I'm going to talk a little bit here about, if you don't know, I do know about leverage and I do know about margin. So I thought we would just throw some stuff out to you for there. So is there, you know, like I've seen this crash, and this isn't the first time this has happened, okay? This has happened before. And what happens with this, we talked about this, I broke this down when you talked about one of those banks, California banks, crashing as an example. You know, I want to make sure, okay. One of those big banks crashing as an example was that you had an issue where people are leveraging, and then when the market starts to crash, those calls are coming due, the margin calls or leverage calls in a sense. And when that happens, it accentuates the downfall. Okay, so that is kind of where we're at here. So I'll go into some of this. And by the way, so look, we're going to try to do a Wednesday show, but today I had a dentist appointment. Look at those pearly whites. They're all clean. They're fine. Tomorrow I have this private mediation, but Wednesday morning, I have a colonoscopy coming. And with that colonoscopy means tomorrow is going to be a pretty dangerous day for me. Okay. We do have someone here, Pseudo Snark, no notification, and you weren't even on the screen, had to get your, channel to even see this. Go to your channel. I am sorry. I'm glad you checked it out. Yeah. Like I said, a lot of people are going to have to, I guess, see this on the replay. I just decided to put it up a little bit ago. So glad you're here. We're going to talk a little bit about crypto stuff, but we're only going to talk about trading. And if you want any, this is not advice, but it is warnings for you. Okay. Okay. So with that in mind, glad you're here along with us. What took place? What took place on Friday? Well, Trump goes out and does and maybe we'll read through some of this, and then I'm going to put my own spin onto everything. Okay, this is from Zero Hedge. Crypto market traders hit by record liquidations. Now, if any of you you're out there like, nothing happened to me. Okay, well, nothing happened to me either, except let me back up. We go out Friday. I think I did a show on Friday, right? And then, with Toad. And then after that, I went out to eat, did the drinking, like a happy hour thing with my wife and our two friends. And the mom, the wife, she's telling us about how one of her sons in crypto lost, a ton of money. And I'm just like, I didn't even really notice this. Well, I noticed, I have a little ticker on my computer. I could see it right here. I noticed that Bitcoin was down to Ethereum, XRP, or some of these that I dabble in. Tyler loves Dr. Jellyfinger. I don't know what that means, but that's awesome. Oh, the colonoscopy. Yeah. So that's going to be rough tomorrow because I've got this settlement conference, but I got to do, liquid diet, and then you drink these things and evacuate. It's going to be a shit show. Wait, I should have had this ready to go here. It's going to be a shit show. There you go. So what were we talking about? Oh yeah, crypto. So she's like, oh, these kids, they're all their, millions of dollars. And I'm like, and then it dawns on me, they are trading on leverage, or as you call it in the stock market, margin. There you go. So, okay, let's talk about this. Trump announces he triggered a wave of cross-market volatility, he would impose an additional tariff on China and export controls on software. October has historically been a particularly strong month for Bitcoin's price, a longstanding pattern that has led much of the crypto industry to expect the same results every fall. There you go. That's problem one. The trend at first seemed poised to continue this year. The first week of this month, BTC surged to some 10.5 to an all-new high price north of 126,000 per Bitcoin. Bitcoin plunged to 105, its lowest since June, following Trump's after hours tweet yesterday. There you go. And you can see the chart dropping, hostile China, 100% tariffs, bam, drops down. Now, for some people to know how bad yesterday was, here's a quick summary. And then some of these altcoins. ATOM went from 4 to 0.001, okay? SUI went from, and they can't spell from, right? It's FRIM there. $3.4 to 56 cents. APT, $5 to 75 cents. SEI, 28 cents to 7. Link, $22 to 8. ADA went from 0.8 to 0.3. Now, I'll say I have a lot of XRP. I think it went from like 3 to 2.5. I mean, not that big a deal. And so I just bought more. That's what I ended up doing. Okay. In total, 6,300 plus wallets are in the red, combined losses exceeding 1.23 billion. Okay, more and more happened to that. CoinDesk reports that the leaderboard data reviewed by CoinDesk shows that top 100 traders in Hyperliquid gained 1.69 billion collectively. In comparison, the top 100 losers dropped 743.5 million, leaving a net profit of 951 million. Now, look, these people they're shorting the market. And if you don't know what that is, we'll talk about that in a tad bit as well. The biggest winner was wallet specific here, which made over 700 million in a short position, while the largest loser, the white whale, dropped 62.5 million. As Cointelegraph reports, traders betting big on the bull run suffered to an extent never seen in crypto market history. Data from CoinGlass indicates a 24-hour liquidation reached nearly 20 billion, with long positions comprising the vast majority. CoinGlass described this as the largest liquidation event in crypto history. Even over the past 24 hours, bets worth more than 19 billion have been wiped out, and more than 1.6 million traders liquidated, according to CoinGlass data. More than 7 billion of those positions were sold in less than an hour of trading on Friday. The actual total is likely much higher. Binance only reports one liquidation order per second. And X figures 19.31 billion in liquidations is more than 10 times the losses seen during the COVID-19 crash, 1.2 billion, and the FTX collapse, 1.6 billion. Crypto.com CEO Chris Marszalek has called for regulatory investigation into exchanges that suffered the largest losses following a record 20 billion in crypto liquidations over the past 24 hours. In a Saturday post on X, Marszalek urged regulators to, quote, conduct a thorough review of fairness of practices, unquote, asking whether trading platforms had slowed down, mispriced assets, or failed to maintain proper anti-manipulation and compliance controls during the crash. Quote, regulators should look into the exchanges that had most liquidations in the last 24 hours, he wrote. Any of them slowing down to a halt, effectively not allowing people to trade, were all trades priced correctly and in line with indexes. Yeah. Data from CoinGlass shows that Hyperliquid led all exchanges in liquidations, recording 10.3 billion in wiped out positions. It was followed by Bybit with 4.65 billion, Binance with 2.41 billion. Other major platforms like OKX, HTX, and Gate saw smaller totals of 1.21 billion, 362.5 million, 264.5 million, respectively. There you go. Okay, so that gives you some context as to what happened. Market Trump, and then by the way, Trump comes out over the weekend and is like, oh, you know what? Never mind. Sorry on this whole thing. Never mind on this tariff stuff with China. So then people are like, oh, I got the rug pulled out. Yeah, totally did. Sorry, I'm drinking water here, folks. Sparkling water, Kirkland's Best, because I gotta. There you go. Advertise it for them. Okay. But with that, let me take a quick, this is called Bitcoin Backer guy I kind of, check out every once in a while. Quick kind of overcap of what he says happened with the market. And let's go take a look at here. He's got a great voice.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is the Blockchain Backer, bringing you the latest cryptocurrency news and analysis. Today, we'll be taking a look over here at the Bitcoin price chart and the altcoin market. As obviously everybody should know, last Friday, we witnessed the largest liquidation in the history of the cryptocurrency market, which CoinGlass reported a record $19 billion, dwarfing anything we've ever seen before in this market, ever. This, of course, created the biggest wicks we've seen in a long time over here on these market caps, like the altcoin market cap of others, which is everything excluding the top 10. Total 3's insane wick, and of course XRP's insane wick, which varied on different exchanges, hitting as low as 80 cents on Binance, $1.60 on Bitstamp, $1.70 on Coinbase. Wicks don't really matter so much, but obviously crazy price action that happened there on Friday as the liquidation occurred. Now, when it came to that and all the things that I've been talking about for the last couple of weeks, that was the major thing that was scaring me or startling me in the market, is that we would see something like that. So getting through that phase, we're past that phase now of talking about all those other things. There's still a lot of things kind of overhanging right now, like when it comes to silver being in its all-time high. It did close its weekly time frame up there last week. It's still marching there this week. However, we are still like in a funky moment here because it's Columbus Day. The stock market's closed.
There you go. Okay, just a quick little overview with that. Now, I'm going to then present to you some of these other, oh, you know what? I'll come back to that. I'm going to come back to this other completely ridiculous thing that I saw here. But this is the kind of stuff you're seeing online here. All my savings, 6 years of DCA, got liquidated last night. I was one of the people who never tried to time the market, was telling others to stay away from leverage. You say, what's leverage? We'll talk about it. Just DCA, yet here I am. Maybe the sad story will contribute to the community. I guess people have different reasons for why they end up using leverage. I don't need to be convinced that Bitcoin is here to stay and will go up. That's why I was all in DCA, and anything left out of my monthly salary would go into Bitcoin. However, in the last 1 to 2 years, my monthly expenses rose significantly, and I was upset about not being able to buy as much Bitcoin as I could in the past. This is what led me to the idea that I could make up for that period within 1 to 2 leverage trades. All went downhill from there. Last night, I lost everything. As of today, my total net worth is not far away from what my salary I received this month. Everything I got was wiped out, and I'm 36 years old. Okay, so you're 36. You have a chance to overcome. My son is 25, okay? And I've been helping him do some investing, okay? He's doing some crypto, but for the most part, I'm trying to teach him options trading, okay? Now, we can talk about options trading, but my point in all this too is I'm like, okay, if whatever your pie is, you then use a small portion of that pie to be hyper aggressive. He's 26, you can make these things back, but never invest something that you can't afford to lose, okay? So he uses a small portion, and I'm having him do some option trading, some outright buying and holding call options, okay? Or puts, which are basically puts are, and by the way, you can do this kind of stuff, I believe, with crypto as well. But the main premise there with options are it's much like leveraging, but not quite. Well, technically it is leveraging, but it's a different type than what they're calling it here, okay? Options, instead of like buying, 100 shares of Amazon, you can buy one contract which controls 100 shares. It's the right to buy that stock at a certain price in the future. Time could be out there, so whatever these strike prices are that you can pick, or a put, which would be the right to sell the stock at a certain price. So you're betting the stock's going to go down in a sense, but then you can do all kinds of things with those. You can buy the outright stock and sell the options against it. You can do 2 option plays against each other. So you have downside and upside protection and leverage. Okay. But the thing with options, when you're purchasing them outright like that, the amount you put in could just disappear if the stock drops or raises, depending on what your option call or put are. So, there's risk there. Now, that's the ability, like this person was doing here, to try to get more out of your position. There's another way too. It's called, in stocks, it's called trading on margin. Now, what that means is, in the stock market, highly regulated, Securities Act in 1933 and 34 really put a lot of things here, because the stock markets has, problems. Back, I'm trying to remember which stock market crash it had. I think it was the 1920s. That caused these Securities Acts to come into play. They were able to use margin to buy stocks to a great extent. Now, here's the situation in the stock market as it is, right? It gets a little bit more protection, because then we're going to talk about the crypto market. A little bit more protection in the stock market than you do in the crypto. And part of that is the government regulation, which I don't want to have necessarily. And I just don't know that this is, when you're playing these games here and you're trying to use crypto, and the whole idea is, deregulation and da-da-da-da-da, all you're doing with a lot of these people that lost their billions, and one guy, committed suicide and whatnot, you're playing a game. You probably got rich, not from being technically savvy, but from jumping in Bitcoin early on and just watching it rise up, right? You're a lot of these boomers buying houses as an example, letting the market go up. You're not doing real estate transactions. You're just getting lucky. And now you're kind of, I don't know if you're closing the door on other people, but things are a little bit different. So a lot of these people that lost this money, I'm also like, okay, easy come, easy go, perhaps. I'm sure there were some people like this guy that are going to have some trouble, right? You had a ton of money and you blew it. Now, let's go back into the margin thing. So stock option stops as an example, stocks. You go and, in stock trading, most accounts, you have to have at least like $2,000 to even have a margin account. Then you have to have an initial margin requirement, which is 50% of the stock. You have to have at least that amount of cash to even purchase, okay? And then each stock has a maintenance margin a requirement percentage that you have to maintain equity. So you can have an account, you can have, and so it starts building up margin purchasing power in this account. If you have multiple stocks, if it's just cash, it's going to be 2 times the cash, basically 2,000, you can buy 4,000, boom. Then once the stock settles, the trade settles, you can start having margin based on the equity that you have in that account. Okay. And so now you have other stocks. Those stocks, maybe the margin requirement on some of these stocks that you have to have a position is 30%, right? Usually the federal requirements, depends on what it is. It could be like a 30%. And then stock, some of them are higher based on where the trading is with these stocks. It's like how volatile they are, how much float you have, everything, little things that come into it to calculate it. Then the margin department of each stock firm is going to put additional, oftentimes, requirements on these stocks that you have. Maybe the federal requirement was 30%, 35%, whatever. But this particular brokerage firm is like, no, we're having 50% or 100%. Maybe you're not even allowed to leverage. It's like a cash only type of trades. That is their determination that they are trying to protect themselves in the event that something happens. Okay, with that, you have all these positions. You have multiple stocks in your account, right? In your portfolio, and they all have margin requirements. Maybe it's 100%, maybe it's 30, maybe you're on all these, blue chip stocks. And so it's really low because the volatility isn't going to affect this. But at some point, if those stock market starts to fall, maybe the margins department says, no, we need that. And instead of 3 days bringing in money, you need to bring in money now. And if you're not bringing in money, they start liquidating positions. And they usually will do those ones that are highly leveraged first, bam, bam, bam. And the people will call in and they're like, I want you to do this other stock. And it's like, you do it, bitch. And that doesn't always take care of it because the requirement is to bring cash in. Okay, so you can see how now when the stock market is flummoxed and it's just blown out and it starts to go down quickly, margins departments, people have their own sell orders, whatnot, to protect themselves. It's a cascading effect. And as you sell, the stock plummets. So you have a margin call, and sometimes, margin effects can drive the markets too, right? We've seen that as well. So anyway, you've got these margin positions and then it starts to blow people out, liquidating them. That's what's happening. But in the stock market, you're looking at 2x, right? 2 times. You have to have at least an initial. We're looking at leverage positions in crypto that are much, much different. I had this up the other day. Let's see here. Do I want to go to, man, I wish I would have saved that chat. What is the difference? Now I'm looking at this. Is funny. It's automatic between Veterans Day and Memorial Day. I've never said that. Between leverage, crypto, and margin trading. We'll take a look at that. If it even has a decent answer. Okay, so here's the big deal. Leverage trading, on the hand, refers to the use of borrowed capital to control a larger position than the trader's initial investment would allow, often expressed as a ratio of 10x or 100x. Remember, margin, you're looking at least initially 2x, okay? So you can see that. Now, and we also talked about those little shit coins that got blown out here. I don't know much about any of these, right? I literally have just a few that I take care of. And I feel, confident, as an example, Ethereum, XRP, perhaps, Bitcoin as another example of, and people, once again, you could have your own coins shit and you rip on me for whatever. That's not the point of this. The point of this I'm talking about is trying to explain leverage. There's a lot of shit coins out there that they're actually borrowing against, I'm assuming, okay, correct me if I'm wrong. And then those are getting blown out. We saw that, so this liquidation is just across the board. What are you really backing any of your Bitcoin on if you're buying this guy like he was doing the DCA? Definition and mechanism. Margin trading is defined as borrowing money from a broker to increase your trading position using the trader's capital as collateral. Leverage trading involves using borrowed funds to amplify the size of the position, allowing control of a larger market exposure with smaller initial capital outlay. Risk and reward. Both strategies amplify potential gains and losses. A market movement against a trader can lead to significant losses, potentially exceeding the initial investment, and both are subject to margin calls. Okay. All right, so that's really what we have here. Basically, it's so here's my problem with a lot of these traders out there. One, when you're using crypto, why? It blows me away that you would be having, first of all your investment on an exchange like this. I mean, portions of my investments go into a cold storage. Okay, if I'm trading or I'm adding, I'm doing it I tell you, I'm purchasing off multiple different exchanges, but I'm not holding, because you can't get liquidated if you're having it on a cold storage, right? So I understand what these people, what happened, it took it all. All right, you're having it with a custodial account. Once again, I'm not your Mr. Crypto guy. I'm just telling you how I'm doing things to protect myself. If I were to ever do leverage trading, it would be a very small percentage of my overall, and that exposure would only be the full amount that I would have in that account. Okay, and I'm just not doing it. Okay, of all my years trading, day trading, either I was always doing cash positions. I'm sorry, I just was not doing margin. I worked closely with the margin department. I saw how that kind of stuff could go down, and it just never was that was just a risk I was not willing to take. Okay, now once again, you can leverage your margin in fantastic ways to make extra money. Maybe I would be sitting on drinking a Mai Tai on some island right now if I had done that. But I didn't. But I'm also not in the poorhouse like some of these people either. So let's take a look if we have some other. Okay, so this guy, he wrote up here, today was the worst day of my life financially, over 9 million gone instantly. I hope that's not the full extent of your investment. Why are you, it is funny once when I talked to a client, actually just an investor person, and then they started to taking care of their trade shit, and then they're trying to talk to me about diversity. Okay, not like DEI, but like diversifying their portfolio, and they're like, so they wanted to move it in multiple accounts, and that was their idea of diversity. Now there is something there, because there's the SIPC, fireman's protection. We had additional for insuring your account, FDIC, I guess FDIC insurance up to 350,000 or whatever it is. So I get it. There were people with a lot of money that they would move it in multiple banks as that kind of diversity. But I just can't imagine doing, if this is your 9 million and you have it all in one account here. And the reason I'm saying that is because of the ability of doing leverage and then getting it all liquidated at one point. It's crazy. You should buy your crypto at in person at a gas station in Antioch. I don't go to Antioch much, if ever. Okay. Typing this feels like ripping a wound that's still bleeding, but I'm posting it because the space needs more honesty. You see the wins, you see the 100-time calls, the yachts, but you rarely see what happens when the market humbles you. This is more than humbling to me. This wasn't a rug. It wasn't a hack. It was me. Overconfident, overexposed, and the market did what it always does, reminding me who's in charge. I wasn't gambling with crazy leverage. It was a safe play, the kind that can't go wrong until it does. One bad trade, one liquidation wick. And just like that, 9 million erased in seconds. The truth, no one is untouchable. I wouldn't say that. What about all those people that weren't leveraged, like me? Okay, it's as the overall, it's going to be a blip. I mean, seriously, I'm looking down. I'm like, okay, I'm down, but I'm also looking at the numbers, and I'm like, it's been worse. It's been worse from where I started. Okay. It doesn't matter how much experience you have, how many bull runs you've survived, how many wins you've stacked. I don't know. I have a lot of experience. My experience, and I'm not meaning to bash on this guy, but when you say stuff like this, my experience says no leverage. That's what my experience has taught me. And I'm sure it did to you because, you've mentioned it up here, okay? The market humbles everyone. Absolutely does. So therefore, it's like the ocean. You don't just take anything for granted. You can die immediately in the ocean with bad weather and whatnot. And today it humbled me harder than ever, but I'm still here, still breathing, still standing. 9 million, God. But my purpose, still alive. Okay, you know what? Good for you, buddy. I am happy for that. I'm not trying to at all dig on people for any of this shit that happens. This guy does a breakdown of what all took place. I think there were some issues with different firms as far as liquidation. So there's whack, and we talked about it there first. I don't know exactly how the automatic systems go, but sometimes a trade, you can, when I talked about Bitcoin or blockchain backer or whatever it was, he talked about a wick hitting a low mark. Sometimes there's trades in the market that just get reported, and then they trigger either a stop, or sometimes they trigger maybe these institutional outfits, maybe buyers or sellers, to liquidate, and that could have been a lot of the things that happened as well, right? You get a trade, maybe it's a misreported, or maybe even gets reversed out, but it's been enough to actually initiate automatic systems or whatnot, and then blown out, and there you go. So I did hear that I think Binance put some money back into people's accounts for some stuff in, but anyway. However, this saying, Justin, an analyst warned the true size of the largest crypto liquidation could be up to 400 billion. CoinGlass says Binance API throttling only reflected 5% of liquidations during the crash. If true, that's 20 times larger than the 19 billion reported. Yeah, that's pretty rough, people. Okay, insider whales made 100 million shorting Bitcoin, timed exactly to Trump's tariff post. This is, we're going to watch this here real quick. This is CoffeeZilla. He was talking about this. And by the way, I'm going to go back here to a few things. Casino Royale, the movie, Tucker Carlson, and this issue here. Okay, what do they all have in common? Tucker Carlson just went out and did a 9/11. He's doing a 9/11 thing. And if you hear him there, he's talking about people that shorted the market and that they found out who they were at 9/11. They made millions and billions of dollars, but it's never been reported. The movie Casino Royale, I think it was Casino Royale. It starts on there, Lashif, I think that's his name. He is controlling money for like guys that are doing blood diamond shit. It's like, terrorist people in Africa or whatever. He's controlling their money, and he makes a bet, which is how the movie starts. He buys puts on an airline industry. Puts, what are puts? Puts are the right to sell stock at a certain price in the future. Okay. So he's wanting to sell. So basically it's basically you're betting on the market going down. He buys puts on these, this airline industry. And then he goes out and he has someone trying to do a terrorist act against a new plane because he wants to drive the market down. And what happens? James Bond saves it. And this dude loses a ton of money when that doesn't happen. Because once again, just to describe options real quick, it's the right to do something. You're controlling the stock at the right. You can exercise this at a certain price at a certain date. So when that date happens and it doesn't, the price is below or above your strike price, depending if you're buying puts or calls, it expires worthless. His money went out the window, boom, and then he had to do all this other stuff. Okay. That in mind, that reminds me kind of what was talking about here with CoffeeZilla. Someone evidently put in a big trades to short the crypto market just moments before Trump's announcement of
analysis. Someone made $190 million while the crypto markets were crashing yesterday.
Hang on. I want to look at this one. Why is that not on there? Sorry. We'll get it here. I think there we go. Oh, now it's not even up. You know what? We'll have to just use this. Sorry.
Trader, we're going to get into it. I want to be clear that I'm not accusing anyone of a crime here. Insider trading specifically relates to securities. We've been pretty clear that crypto, especially Bitcoin and Ethereum, are not securities. So I don't even know what this is. I think this is all legal. Kind of. I don't think it should be, as you'll see. But the question is, what did this guy know? Okay, how did somebody make $190 million while everyone else was losing their shirts yesterday? If you don't know, there was one of the biggest crashes we've ever seen in crypto. And someone came in 24 hours before and started placing shorts against the market. Short is just when you bet that the underlying asset is going to go down in price and you will make money on that. Now, this all started October 9th at 6.
Yes, to be rough about it, that's the way it is. If you want a better explanation, a little bit more in depth, I could give you one here. Basically, you are selling the stock that you don't own. Okay, that's if you're actually purchasing to do it. There's in the futures or the commodities market spot option where you're actually buying contracts to do these kind of things. I've mentioned that with puts and calls. Shorting itself is actually selling it when you don't own it, hoping that it goes down. Once it goes back down, then you have to buy it back. So you actually, the custodian is, you're borrowing. They have someone else's shares or crypto, and they're hypothecating it. They're allowing to do that. You're able to do that. So you short it. You do have to have margin to be able to do this. So it is pretty, risky itself. But anyway, there you go.
16:39 GMT time, they start accumulating this Bitcoin short. They initially put, and this is not chump change, guys. This isn't under your couch, pennies. This is $80 million that initially gets deposited, and they start placing shorts against Bitcoin. Okay, that's fine. Now the amount is unusual, but that itself is not the unusual part. Then we have Ethereum starts to get shorted at 3:49 GMT.
By the way, I think this person opened a new wallet, like brand new. This was right before this took place here.
Interesting. $30 million gets deposited into this account. Immediately start placing major bets that the market is going to go down. Why is this significant? Well, because at 14:57, this is only a few hours later, like 12 hours later, Trump posts on Truth Social that they are calculating a massive increase on Chinese tariffs. This is due to a rare earth mineral dispute. But the point is, nobody knew this was coming, except, of course, maybe this guy, because he's already got these multi-million-dollar shorts. Now, where I think this goes from suspicious to downright diabolical is the fact that at this point, the market dips a little bit because you have these threats of tariffs. But the person does not start closing out their shorts yet, which I think is very interesting. If you place this huge short bet and then the president tweets something like this, you would think you would close out your order. But not only do they not do that, not only do they not close out their short, they continue to place short bets against Bitcoin. In fact, this person continues to short Bitcoin all the way up till 2049-23 GMT. Why is that significant, ladies and gentlemen? It's because 2049 is the last short he places, okay? 2050 GMT. A minute later, 1 minute later, Trump announces they're considering an 100% tariff on China, which of course tanks the market. And this person makes literally $190 million in 24 hours. Meaning the guy was placing shorts up to 1 minute before Trump announces this big, huge 100% tariffs. And then, by the way, immediately, as if he knew something, we start seeing the shorts close only 30 minutes later. So both the ETH and Bitcoin short closed 30 minutes later. By the way, these accounts were funded by the same people. This is the same person making these trades. So to recap, this person not only times the same day that a big announcement was made, he makes these $110 million short against crypto. He then also conveniently waits past the initial tweet about tariffs until the most significant announcement, which is the 100% tariffs, and he's shorting it up to 1 minute before that. Guys, this is some of the most blatant crime is legal moments we've seen. $190 million. And the question is anything going to be done? No, actually, I can already answer that for you. Probably not. But I think what we are seeing here is just the rise of insider trading across the board. I think it's disgusting. I think it ruins capital markets and it's bad, but I don't really know what to do about it because it just seems like everywhere we're seeing the insider trading. I don't know if some of you remember there was a time where, Trump was going to post on his Truth Social that it's a good time to buy crypto and people were buying SPY calls immediately before it. But this is just completely blatant stuff, just given the perfect timing of it all and the size of the bets that were made under such kind of sniper precision. At least that's what it looks like to me. But I also wanted to say this isn't the only place where this is happening. This YouTuber Cheddar Flow has a tool where they analyze options, and they pointed out that recently there's been a big AMD announcement where they partnered with OpenAI. OpenAI is going to receive some of their stock, and conveniently people were making bets on that as well immediately before it.
The most insane insider trade of the entire year just happened. An AMD whale bought 6 million plus of out-the-money calls, which was super unusual. Cheddar Flow actually posted on X right as that occurred. And then only 2 trading days later, we had news that OpenAI took a 10% stake in AMD. And those calls that these whales loaded only 2 trading days before were already up 3.
So by the way, call is the right to buy the underlying shares. Now, you don't have to actually buy the shares because that option itself will explode up. There's what's called intrinsic and extrinsic value. The intrinsic is the stock price to the strike price amount. And then there's just fluff from the time and then the volatility that works in. This is how these options are priced because of this. And the options markets never lose money, so they always price it how they feel is the best. This guy buys out of the money. In other words, not just are you going to go up to the strike price, the strike price is way higher or a lot higher or much higher or higher than the actual stock price and or crypto price.
100%.
So yeah, I just wanted to point out that it's not just crypto where this is happening. Seems like across the board. By the way, I love the title of this. It says this has to be illegal, except I don't think anything's going to happen about it. And that seems to be the rough vibe in the industry recently. It's that like, hey man, it might not be technically kosher, but if you can get away with it, you're probably fine. It seems like most people are getting away with it in this market. Even the Nobel Peace Prize isn't safe from people front running. This is the poly market of it. And as you can see, this is where it finally got announced, the winner. But before that, traders were already basically pricing in the fact that somebody knew ahead of time that the person who won was going to win hours before. And they made a bunch of money doing that. So there's insider trading, an opportunity to insider trade across the board for people who have that sweet, sweet insider knowledge. And it doesn't seem like a lot's being done about it. In fact, specifically, the smartest thing to do is just know what Donald Trump's going to post on Truth Social ahead of time, since so much of our market is now just moving based on terror.
This is where you start to think that it's his son. What's his name? The little Trump, although he's really tall, because evidently he's got like $80 million in net worth now from
threats.
crypto
That's like where the real alpha is. It used to be you had to buy a Bloomberg terminal. Now you just have to know what he's going to post ahead of time, which for the record.
I'm sorry. I used a Bloomberg terminal every day for like 6-8 years. It didn't give me any insights. No offense. I didn't find anything useful other than to see like level 2-3 trades that are blowing through and everything that's executing. You're not getting anything
I think
special.
it's a great way
there.
to run our economy.
Okay. That was a really good one there, Mr. Man. We've got some people over here on Rumble. Sorry, I didn't have their stuffs going over here. Fendelander's over there. Patrick Shouts is there. JC's over there. Hubbleson. Yeah, welcome everybody. We're going to be almost done here shortly. Okay, that was that. That's that insider trader. We talked about that. What I do want to go back, this is totally something completely separate, but this is what drives me the fuck crazy, okay? This Wall Street Apes, 2.8 million views on a tweet. Another California resident confirms if you vote no on Gavin Newsom's Proposition 50 redistricting plan by their mail-in ballots, your no vote will show through the envelope. Democrats can then easily identify them and throw them away. Look at that. They can tell exactly who voted no. The redistricting is totally rigged. Okay, so here it is. This is shocking, people.
No.
Shocking.
Envelope. In the envelope. Look at that.
Oh my God. And you know what's even worse? Ted Cruz comes and says, how can this be real? Because Right Angle News did it as well. Look.
From the flap, you can see I voted no, but for some reason I didn't check it when I put it in. And so when they open this flap, if they see that.
Yeah, because you're a complete dumb fuck. Okay, so I actually have this ballot right here. So I'm like, oh, what? Let's take a look, because all the ballots, because they send you a ballot out here in California. All the ballots I've seen, I'm like, there's nothing that requires you to specifically put it in a certain way into your official ballot. So here it is. Here's the ballot. They have a hole on this side. They have a hole on this side. No idea what that's for, other than it's something. Okay, so, okay, well, here's the ballot. This ballot specifically, let's go here. Sorry, full cam. And this is how dumb Ted Cruz is, too, for even doing this. Is this the way we want to go? Okay, so here's the ballot you actually have. There's one thing on this ballot. It's about redistricting, Prop 50, and you can put yes or no down here. And there you go. And then, so you mark that, and then the other side of the ballot, it's intentionally blank. So once you mark it, you can fold it this way. You can fold it this way. Okay, it doesn't tell you that you have to put it a certain way in the envelope. Okay, so with that, we can do the permutations here. First way would be you'd put it that way and you'd put it in, and it's up. Oh, and look, that hole would not align, it would align with this. But if you turn it over, that's two ways. Now it would show right there. However, you can also put it in upside down. What if you put it in that way? No, it doesn't show. Turn it over, upside down, it's that way. There's 4 ways there. Only one of those would possibly show which way it is. Now we do this. We turn it the other way. You put it in the envelope. That's one way, it doesn't show. 2 ways it doesn't show. Upside down, 3 ways. 4 ways. 8 different ways to show that you can put your fucking ballot in a stupid envelope, and only one of those ways is it even possible that maybe perhaps it's going to show. That is, people, this is unbelievable. This is how dumb your politicians are right here. You got Ted Cruz saying, oh my word, wow, how can this be real? How can it be real? Because you're stupid. That's how it's real to you. Something isn't really real. You know, unicorns could be real to you. Okay? They're not real though. So anyway, this kind of shit's going on out there, and you've got complete the world is upside down. So let's recap. No leverage, suggesting maybe no leverage with your crypto. How about you pull some stuff out? Maybe you have a crypto in a certain exchange. I'm not going to name all of them out there. And that one you just hold. And then the other ones you do some leverage in. Okay, but you're only going to do leverage possibly that you can, maybe you could get wiped out in your whole entire leverage position. But you're okay, because maybe that one guy, the 9 million, was crazy, but that should be a small percentage of what you hold. That's all I'm saying. Don't you dare disparage unicorns. Okay, well, Patrick, I did disparage unicorns. Hi, JC. All right, that's all I'm doing today. We're doing 40 minutes or so in here. We're done and over. Once again, Wednesday, I have stuff going for the legal show. I wanted to watch Josh Hammer's reply, and I think I'm going to rip it right now, and then I'm going to upload it into a thing that does Substack. Go to my Substack, guys. Join up there, because I did. You know what? We go back here, and Pseudo Snark says, hey, I didn't know anything about this. I had to go to your channel to even find this out. That's my fault. I'm supposed to, I did it last time with Toad. It's just sign up for Substack. I will try to always notify you on Substack that I'm going live, and then you don't have to watch it on Substack. It is live there if you have it on your phone, but you can go to YouTube, you can go to X, you can go to Rumble, and you can watch it live there. That's my bad. I will get better at doing those announcements so you know when I am going to go live. I appreciate that. But what was my point in all this? Which is, okay, I wanted to watch Josh Hammer's reply to Candace Owens and take out, and the reason I was saying Substack is because when you load it up there, you can create your clips, and it does it. It's fantastic. It does it with the transcript, so you can find the transcript. You can do some word searches. I'm going to clip every time he talks about his book or the Josh Hammer show specifically, because it is fantastic. It's a horrible, the guy's horrible. He's a horrible human. Patrick, are we mutuals on X? Great show with Toad. I appreciate you saying great show with Toad. I did enjoy getting to talk to Toad a little bit. Still nothing from Jose, but I totally understand. You guys they're over there talking about that. So anyway, Wednesday show, I do plan to do some legal stuff. Friday, hopefully I'll be recovered by then, and we'll have a Friday show as well. Mary Fagan Keene wrote a book. Hang on, let me grab this real quick. The Murder of Little Mary Fagan by Mary Fagan King. This is an update to that. I'm going to be bringing her on, I think it's, 24th. She's going to come on our Friday show. We're going to talk about this a little bit and because I think she has some interesting stuff. So it'll be kind of a follow-up. Here's what I want to do going forward, folks. Let me know what you think about it, okay? Wednesday show, legal. Friday's show, the normal. But I'm going to try to do more interviews. I actually really enjoy the solo shows. Okay, you bring someone on, you got to listen to them. But as a way, someone on YouTube commented about Toad. They're like, "Hey, he said a bunch of things wrong about Tyler Robinson and all this stuff. The rifle did it." And I'm like, I don't even remember that, because he was yabbering about this, and I was kind of zoning out. And that's why I interrupted. I'm like, we don't need to recap this whole. We already know this stuff, and I didn't realize. So anyway, this happens sometimes with interviews. But I'm thinking of doing more interviews. So if that's the case, let me know who you want for me to try to get on. If there's anybody that's interesting, that's going to be some of the goal. I'm going to try to do some Friday interviews. And you know, honestly, I would love to do. Look, I had a dentist appointment today, so I left. That was at 1:30. I was done. I came home. I did some stuff. It's only 4:50 here. I was home a little earlier. It's bad weather outside, and so I did a quick show for everybody. So there you go. All right. I think we had a good one. I hope everybody enjoyed it. We are going to be out. Take care, everybody. See you on Wednesday, unless my ass is all blown out from the colonoscopy. Bye.
Never mind.